Okay, so let's get started. So the last webinar for 2015 is today's webinar, which is on Rebooking 101. So we're going back to basics and just having a look at everything to do with rebooking. So my name's Stephanie and I'll be taking you through today's content. So we're just going to get started with our usual housekeeping, just for those who are new to webinars. So the duration of today's webinar, depending on how many questions we get, it's going to be somewhere between about 20 and 30 minutes. Don't worry if you do need to drop off throughout the webinar, as the recording will be posted on the website tomorrow. So your speakers need to be turned on to be able to hear me, which I think we've checked and everyone can hear me okay. My microphone is the only one that's on, so the rest of you have all been muted. However, please feel free to use the chat box throughout the webinar to ask any questions that you have. The webinars are certainly more interesting when you guys jump in and ask questions and give me your ideas and thoughts on things. If there are a lot of questions though, and we are sort of reaching the 30-minute mark, I will contact you guys after the webinar to answer anything else. So let's get started. So today, hopefully by the end of today, you'll understand why you should be rebooking your clients, what you and the clients get out of it, how to enable and use the rebooking tool in shortcuts, how to then measure the rebookings of your employees and the business as a whole. And then we'll go through some really helpful tips for increasing client rebooking. And then we'll briefly talk about the difference between rebooking and retention, as that's often confused, and then just how to measure and compare client retention as well. So why would you rebook client? What's the point of rebooking your clients? Well, rebooking is one of the most important KPIs which you should be monitoring, because what it can do is help you predict your future revenue as well as your retention. So getting clients to rebook is not only the fastest, but also the most economical way to make your business busier. So by encouraging your clients to rebook on the day of their service, it's helping you to keep a steady stream of clients into your business, and you can potentially increase and boost your business specifically through rebooking without even needing to add new clients. So it's pretty important, right guys? How many of you are already using rebooking in your business and trying to monitor it? All right, a couple of you, perfect. Has anyone not ever used the rebooking feature in shortcuts at all? Okay, we've got a few people who've got it enabled, but they're not actually monitoring it, and a couple people who aren't using it full stop. So let's go through why you should and then how to actually get it to happen. I've also got someone else who's written, which is something we're going to address, trying to get the staff to actually rebook, getting the staff to ask the question. So we'll go through that shortly for you, John. Okay, so we're going to talk about some figures here. I hope it's not too early for you guys. So rebooking is all about how many clients you've got, the average spend per transaction, how many times they rebook in a year, so therefore how frequently are they visiting, which obviously is going to equal money in your pocket. So let's have a look at something pretty basic here. So let's say you're seeing about 3,000 clients a year. So that's about 10 clients a day, assuming that you're open 6 days a week and for about 50 weeks of the year. So that's about 3,000 clients. Let's say your average transaction is about $50. So it's going to maybe be a little bit higher for some of you, a little bit lower. And they're only coming in 6 visits a year. So that's probably every 7 to 8 weeks. That's the figure that you're looking at. However, if we look at the same pool of clients, same average cost per transaction, and they're coming in 8 visits, so therefore probably more around every 6 weeks, there's a difference of about $300,000. So I'm not sure if any of you have ever sort of sat down with your figures. I'd encourage you to do that and look up how many clients you're getting in a year, your average transaction, and what you think they should be returning. So if what you're based on your services, their average rebooking should be how many weeks, what difference it would make to your business. So it's pretty interesting. Okay, so let's look at how to enable rebooking, sorry guys. Super easy. All you need to do is go to the setup menu, configuration, sales, point of sale, and then you just want to tick the ask to rebook option, which is there and highlighted in the picture. That's all you need to do to switch it on. And then let me show you how you actually use it. So in this recording I've got here, I've got Melanie booked. She's in for a spray tan as well as an eyebrow wax. So when I check her out, I'm going to pop in how she's paying, and I'm going to be presented with the following prompt. So this is the prompt that's telling you to ask Melanie if she wants to rebook. However, it gives you a little bit of information about what's actually going on with her. So I can see in a couple of weeks that she's already booked in for an eyebrow wax. So I'm not going to ask her, do you want to rebook your eyebrow wax? Because she's already done that. I'm going to ask her if she wants to rebook her tan. If she was to say yes to that, we would simply get her to rebook. So we'll choose the rebook option. We're then going to just go to when she wants the appointment, book her in. We'll choose the tag, choose the service, choose the resource, and we will then receive this prompt asking if this rebook is a rebooking and do we want to give an employee credit. So whoever's responsible for doing that rebooking, which hopefully was the service operator who completed the service, you would simply hit the yes option and choose that employee. If there were 2 employees who contributed to this rebooking, you would hit yes to this option and choose a second person. If not, you would simply hit no, return to the point of sale, and complete their transaction. So it's pretty easy to use. So then how do you measure it? So this is something that you guys, I probably recommend looking at the end of the week, end of the month, and then maybe run every quarter. So you want to be able to understand per employee what sort of rebooking percentage they're looking at, as well as for the business as a whole, because they're 2 different things. So this is through the rebooking breakdown report, which is located under your tools menu, reports, employees, and rebooking breakdown. So I've taken a snippet of the report, which is down the bottom here. So this is going to break down per employee. So for example, Brooke had 1 client and she rebooked that client. Therefore, her rebooking rate is 100%. Another employee, such as Sophie and Steph, only rebooked half of their clients. What you'll notice though is obviously employees share clients here and there. So down the bottom, you've got the overall for the business. So for the business during the period that I've run this report, they've had 8 client visits. 5 of those clients have rebooked, which means that for the business as a whole, you're only at about 62.5%. So you've got 2 employees excelling, 2 who are probably below what your average is. So I'd really encourage you to look at this and maybe set the business an incentive. So maybe run it for the last 6 months and then have a bit of a look and see what was your percentage, and maybe you'll aim to increase that by 5 or 10% by the end of December. You may also want to put an incentive in there for employees who you know are struggling to do rebookings, and possibly try and look at maybe increasing theirs by 5 or 10% each month until they're around that optimal percentage that you want for rebooking, whether that be 70 or 80%. John's actually brought up a very relevant point here. So his staff tell him that they don't need to rebook their clients because they can always get in no problem. We're definitely coming back to that. That is a huge problem if your employees are saying that. I promise I'll come back to that one for you, John. Okay, so how do you increase rebookings? We know how to switch it on and actually track it, but how do you actually increase it? So one of the key factors here is educating your employees on the best way to rebook your clients. This seems to be the #1 problem. So the key factor in rebooking is the language that you use when asking a client to rebook. So if you were my client and you got to the front desk and I just went, you want to rebook? There is a very good chance that that client is going to say no. So you need to phrase it in a way that is not just a simple yes or no. You need to actually phrase it in a way where they need to give you a response which you can continue the conversation on with them. So maybe you're saying, okay, so now John, the best way to maintain your results is that we should really pencil you in for about 6 weeks' time. So that's going to bring us to Thursday. So does Thursday the 13th at 6 p.m. suit you best? If that client was to say no, no problem. Well, how about an earlier time the following day? So you're continuing that conversation on and you're actually giving a point to the rebooking. So it's about maintaining the results of the service that they chose to come in for. So another way you can do this is by saying, for example, okay, Claire, so your skin is responding really well to the treatments that we've done the last few months. So how about we rebook you in a couple weeks' time to do a gentle peel and an LED? That'll really boost your results. So it's all about how you say it. So the important thing to get across to employees as well is that rebooking isn't just good for the business and them, it's beneficial to their clients. So clients come and see you for a reason. You guys are the experts in whatever the services are that you actually offer. So you need to understand that when you're suggesting a client come back in, it's to their benefit. You know that if a client's coming in sort of every 6 weeks, their color is going to be what they want it to be. It's going to be fresher, it won't fade as quickly. You know, with skin treatments, their skin will maintain a more consistent state if they're coming in regularly for those sort of treatments. So I think understanding that rebooking isn't a dirty word. Your employees shouldn't feel feel uncomfortable about addressing it because it's something that's proving their expertise. It's proving that they know what's best for the client. Okay, so don't leave your rebooking up to the front desk. This is something that I see happen more often than not. So, like I said, the employees are the experts here. It should be a part of the whole service experience and comfortable for both the employee and the client to talk about rebooking, talk about what the plan is for that client. So if you've got a client coming in wanting, I don't know, bright red hair, you can say to them, okay, that's great. I can certainly do that for you. What I'd recommend to keep it looking good is you should be probably coming in a little bit more regularly. So once we do today's treatment, we need to make sure that we book you in for about 5 weeks' time to make sure that the colour is constantly fresh. What do you think about that? I think it's important to include that as part of consultations with services. Even when you're dealing with clients, for example, you've waxed a client a couple of times, you might say, look, I really understand your hair growth cycle. I'd recommend that you rebook for 5 weeks' time. It's showing that expertise and it's not just saying, do you want to rebook? How do you guys feel about that? What are some of the phrases that you guys use in the business for asking your clients to rebook? While you guys are popping in your answers, let's move on to the next point of, although rebooking shouldn't start at the front desk, it certainly ends at the front desk, and this is an important point. Whoever is manning your front desk needs to understand your rebooking procedures, and for particular services, what you do recommend for the cycles of them returning. So you want to make sure that that front desk is an expert as well as your employees that you've got who are service operators. You want to make sure there's really good communication between your service operators and your front desk so that they're all recommending the same thing and everyone's on the same page. So perhaps after the consultation of the colouring service, while the colour, after it's been popped on and it's processing, the service operator will pop to the front desk and say, I'm going to recommend that Tracy rebook her service in 5 weeks' time, so that you've got your receptionist there understanding that expectation. I've had a few people put in that they just say, do you want to rebook? Hopefully that won't be happening after today's, guys. All right. So obviously the other thing as well is just setting that rebooking expectation, which we spoke about on the previous slide. So setting that expectation with your employees about what you expect from them and why it's important to you. You guys obviously treasure your businesses and you want your clients to be receiving the best results and you want them to look great all the time. You want people on the street to be pulling up your client and saying, where do you get your hair done? Where do you get your eyebrows done? And the way you're going to do that is by achieving good retention of your clients through rebooking. So explain that to your employees, explain the importance of it, what you get out of it, the business gets out of it, as well as the client. You then may also want to let them know that by rebooking clients, they're also helping themselves. So as an employee, as a stylist, a beauty therapist, a barber, if they're rebooking their clients, they've got a better chance of reaching their targets, making any bonuses that you've got for them. And also they're building a better relationship with their client. And once you've got a great relationship with a client, you know from experience, guys, I'm sure that once you've got that relationship, your clients are far more likely to take your advice when it comes to trying additional services as well as retail items. If they trust you, they're far more likely to see you recommending them a retail item as actually the optimal thing that they need as opposed to you just trying to upsell them something. Wonderful. So I've had someone pop a great way to sort of ask a client. So when they book a client in, they say, when is the best time to confirm the booking? I do like that because you're talking about confirming a booking. You're assuming the booking is already there. I like it. Thanks, John. Okay, so how many of us have heard this before? I'm too busy to rebook. I don't know what I'm doing with my life in 4 to 6 week time. I can't commit to something like this. I think we see this more often than not. It's quite funny. So they say this a fair bit. So they don't know what they're doing in 4 to 6 weeks' time. You know what they should be doing. It's getting their colour refreshed or getting their eyebrows waxed. So you need to give them an idea of what they need to be doing. Particularly with busy people, if you can book them in for an appointment, the chance is that they'll actually schedule their busy life around that appointment as opposed to trying to fit the appointment into their busy life. I think that if you've got a reminder system in place, so I know a lot of you are using the SMS confirmations or phone calls or email confirmations, just remind them that, hey, we're going to pop you in because this is the optimal time for your booking. Generally, this time and day suits you. But don't worry, you're going to get a reminder. You don't need to remember this. You'll get a reminder about your booking. And therefore, if something unexpected crops up, we can always reschedule your booking accordingly. And that's the best way to say it. You don't want to say, oh, you can just cancel it if it doesn't work. No, it should always be about endeavoring to reschedule an appointment. How's that feeling, guys? Does everyone have, I know John's put a yes with an exclamation mark on here. Do you guys have a lot of problem with clients saying they're too busy or they work casual shifts and they don't know when they'll be free? Yes, yes, definitely. Okay, so we're all on the same page here. So definitely try and encourage your employees to pop it in, let them know that, hey, I've popped that booking in so you don't forget. So many clients, I know I'm shocking as a client as well, I'll forget how many weeks it's been. And it's nice to know I've got a booking in there. And hey, if I have to reschedule it, I can, but at least I've got that booking in place. All right, here's a curly one for you guys. So rebooking versus retention. I do find sometimes this gets a little bit confused. So completely different things. So rebooking, we hopefully all understand now. So rebooking is a client who's come in today and rebooked a service for the future. Retention is just the retention for your business. So out of the clients you see, how many of them are actually coming back and not considered as lost? So rebooking obviously greatly contributes to your overall retention, but you do need to obviously look at what your rebooking percentage is and then what your retention percentage is. So I'm going to quickly show you guys as well how to measure your retention, because you do certainly want to compare them. I did do a webinar a couple months ago on Reporting 101 that we did delve a little bit deeper into this report, but I didn't want to skip past it today. So I've looked at a retention report. Now, when you run a retention report, you're obviously running it for a historical period of time. So I'm looking, for example, here at just all of August. So out of the clients who came in August, did they return within 90 days? Because that's what I believe is when my clients should return by, before I have to be a little bit concerned that they've either gone elsewhere or they're completely lost. So you can see when you look at this type of report that you can see that, for example, here John Smith saw 64 clients, 28 of them returned to see him, which is great. 12 of them still returned to the business, which is excellent. So that was 40 clients total retained and there was 24 lost. So it's a really great way to have a look at what you've got going on with your employees. So have you got some employees who they'll see clients and the clients will only return to them, or they're otherwise lost, which we all know is a problem. Although you want your clients to build a relationship with your employees, you want them to build a relationship with your business as a whole and understand that you don't just have one expert, you've got a team of experts there. And if for whatever reason that employee was, I don't know, on annual leave or something like that, that hey, there is someone else there who is perfectly capable of picking them up and continuing their service plan. Any questions on retention? Nope, I think we're all good. Okay, so quick summary on what we've gone through. So hopefully you guys are feeling a little bit more confident about rebooking. So you're understanding why you're actually rebooking your clients. What's the point? And then how to enable and use the rebooking tool. How to then measure how successful rebookings are in the business. Tips for increasing client rebooking. And then just that quick difference between rebooking and retention. All right, so I'm going to come back to a few questions here. So John said earlier that his staff say they don't need to rebook clients because they can always get in no problem. Big no-no. You certainly don't want to be lying to your clients about how busy your salon is, but your employees, the service operators, as well as your front desk staff, should be skilled in making it appear that you guys are busy. You guys are a great store that's in high demand. They can't just call you an hour beforehand and expect that you'd be able to fit them in. Like occasionally, yeah, that might happen, and it might be a surprise if that happens. You can say, look, we've had a cancellation. We can actually fit you in. How lucky is that? You don't want to be telling your clients, don't worry about rebooking. We're dead. You can just come in anytime. It's making your clients think they don't need to rebook, but it's also giving the wrong impression about your business. It's making your business look like it's not in high demand. It's not that great. Come in when you want. We'll be here. We're not busy. Do you guys agree? Yes, Kerry said definitely to that one. I think it's such a big no-no, and it's something that the employees can really fall into a habit with, whereas you want to make yourselves seem busy. Like I said, you're not flat out lying to clients, but you guys have a great business. You are busy. You don't want clients just walking through the door being like, can you fit me in? You want them to call ahead and be like, look, I know it's last minute. Is there any chance you can fit me in today? That's the sort of words you want coming out of your client's mouth, not just, oh yeah, I'll be there in an hour. I'm having everyone write, yes, extremely important. All right, let me just check I haven't missed any other questions in here, guys. Nope, looks like we're all up to date. Another thing which I think is a really good team activity, do you guys do regular catch up with your employees? Do you do like a once a week or once a month team meeting? Yes, weekly. Excellent. I love weekly team meetings. I certainly used to love doing them when I was working in a salon. I used to love doing activities, so whether those be games about product knowledge or role playing, and a really good one for you to do with your clients, you might want to do this maybe next week, is you might want to, your employees, what you might want to say to them is, okay, everyone grab a piece of paper. You've got a client who's come in for whatever it may be, waxing service, colouring service, say, I want you to write down how you would ask that client to rebook. Get everyone to write it down on their own and then get each of your employees to share what they've written. And then you guys can put together a script that you feel is the way that you want to address that with your clients. You might have a funky way of asking it depending on what your clientele is like. You want to make sure that all your employees are on the same page and they understand the importance of this. And I think it's a great activity because you will get varied things. You'll get some employees just writing the, do you want to rebook? Others will write, I recommend you come in 4 weeks. And hopefully you've got a couple employees who take that extra step and explain why. It's all about the why. Why are we rebooking you? It's not just because we want your money. We're rebooking you because you came in here for a colouring service. We want that to look great all year round. Therefore, if you want to maintain how great you feel right now, you need to rebook in 6 weeks' time. Cool. John's just popped a message about when's this webinar going to be available. It should be on the website tomorrow for you, John. So if you pop on the website, let me just bring up the link for you guys. If you go to shortcuts.com.au/webinars/webinar library, it'll be in there. So you guys are welcome to pass this on to your employees. I think it's a great way to get them to understand. It's really easy, particularly this time of year when it's starting to get so busy. I think the last sort of week has been the calm before the storm, which I'm sure you've all experienced. It's really easy to fall into a bit of a routine and forget about things like rebooking, forget about things about recommending products to your clients. So this time of year is more important than any to rebook clients because you've got clients coming in for services they wouldn't normally do. You're getting clients coming in for outrageous haircuts and colors and treatment services for their skin and things they wouldn't normally do because they want to look amazing over the holiday season for parties and family and all that sort of thing. And you want them to know that how great they feel right now, you can do that all year round. And if they want to feel that next month or in 6 weeks' time, they need to book in because you have lots of clients who all want to look and feel good. So they need to book in now to save themselves that spot. Any other question, guys, before we wrap up today? No, we're all good. But as always, don't forget, if you have any questions or need assistance, you can email us on support@shortcuts.com.au. You can phone the help desk on 1300 667 374. And don't forget to like us on Facebook as well. We'll generally post details about all our latest videos and webinars on there. So thank you so much for attending, guys. Good luck with the holiday season, and I wish you all a very happy and safe holidays.